qui ne sont pas toujours ça, et les ONG disent le contraire. Donc, nous, c'est avec les ONG que nous allons donc présenter notre rapport de progrès réalisé. Donc, il est hors de question que les ONG soient en dehors, parce qu'au contraire, elles maîtrisent des situations, des violations des droits des femmes sur le terrain. Donc, pour respecter les horaires, Madame Rowaida, vous avez 15 minutes pour intervenir, et David, vous avez 15 minutes, et vous avez 10 minutes de débat. Donc, savez-vous que ici, à moins 20, on devra avoir terminé avec ce panel. Je vous donne la parole.
Thank you so much for organizing everything, starting from since we were in our conference until we came here, and thank you for taking care of all the women issues and all the panels that you have been organizing within the Human Rights Council in Geneva. Actually, this is one of the best topics to be talking about out of my experience as a young activist in human rights and specifically in women's rights, which is the question on economic, social, and cultural rights of women in the world, not only in Asia, although I'm coming from Lebanon, an Arab country, in the Middle East, in the Asian continent, but still I think that what is going on right now, starting from the Arab Spring, that is inspiring the whole world, not only within the Arab countries, but many other countries in Europe, in the United States, have been doing similar uprising of youth and people that are living under repression, whether women or men in general, are trying to raise their voice, influenced by everything that is going on in the world now. Actually, starting from the forum's main purpose, we are here to, and we have been here since 2 days, actually to find at the end of our panel the new strategies to be adopted for implementation of economic, social, and cultural rights of women. We all know that we used to have the CEDAW, the UN resolutions, we have the Millennium Development Goals that previous panel have been discussing. We used to have different roles of the international organizations that have been working on these tools, like the UN Office for Women, the OHCHR, the ITU, and etc. But let me be talking about something out of my own experience, which is the role of independent activists and social media initiatives in advocating the rights of women, as well as in challenging repressive and unfair laws and practices against women. Because actually, we have proven in the last few years that conferences, traditional civil society work like conferences, workshops, going to the different UN bodies and discussing women's rights and discussing the difficulties that we are facing as women in order to reach a better future with less repression and less unfair laws, have proven to some extent that we were unable to reach to women in their houses. That's why today we have been working not only in Lebanon but in many Arab countries to use social media. Because through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all these challenges, we have seen that we were able to simplify what we are talking in different conferences and workshops about women in terms of laws, in terms of actions to be taken by themselves, in terms of protection of women, especially those in vulnerable situations like living within armed conflicts, whether internal or international conflict. We were able through social media to simplify what we are talking as activists and the professionals in the field, more to those ordinary women that do not have access indeed to these conferences and events. And we were more able to convince them that we are not talking out of a, let's say, of a prestigious level. Because, for example, in Lebanon, most of the women working in civil societies for the previous 10 years were women definitely above the age of 35 years old and even more. And that's why where we were calling, for example, for different strikes, demonstrations, calling especially for violence, elimination of all kinds of violence against women, because this is a very big issue in Lebanon. Women are suffering from all types of violence that you can imagine. Even married women are suffering from rape from their husbands, and there is no law to protect them. And actually, religious leaders in Lebanon, and we are having 18 different sects in Lebanon, are behind any ratification of any amendments on the laws that protect violence against women. So I was saying that every time we called for women to go to the streets, we usually called for men and women to come to the streets, everyone was just telling us, so what are we going to achieve out of everything? Because they don't have the belief in what we are doing. Because simply they think that we are working on a level that they are not concerned, although we are working for them. So social media gave us, at some extent, through photos, through short videos, through citizen journalism, for example, we were able to reach to these women and speak to them much more close, because now every woman sitting in her house through Twitter, through Facebook, she has been easily being able to see what that activist is doing in the UN about women issues, or what that another activist is doing in Egypt, for example, to talk about the uprising of women within the Arab Spring. And we got inspired. And actually, it worked in many sense, because when the revolution started, for example, in Tunisia, the Egyptian women were then inspired. Later on, the Bahraini women were then inspired. Today we have the Syrian women inspired, and so the domino effect played a role only through social media. Actually, regarding also the issue of the laws, which is the legislation, we must bear in mind that that legislation is not merely an administrative mechanism which can be altered, withdrawn, or introduced with minimal effort. A nation's laws are a significant expression of national character, and that is important, because most often when we NGOs in Lebanon work on different aspects of the human rights, not only women's rights, because we face same difficulties when we work with children's rights, the same one with women's rights, is that we are not taking into consideration the national character of Lebanon as a society. For example, the NGOs get funds, let's say from the European Union, from the USA, from different foreign embassies in Lebanon. They get the fund and they try to implement, for example, some projects dealing with ratification of laws in terms of violence or freedom of expression, etc. And they don't take into consideration the specificity of this society. And this happens actually in all the Arab countries and with all the civil society in the Arab countries. I think nowadays, going back to the social media that I was discussing is very efficient, because out of social media, you don't only give the people what you want them to know as activists, but you take the feedback from them. You know what for example, those women sitting in their house, working in any other field, or even university students, what they are concerned. For example, what kind of discrimination they are facing in their workplace or in their villages, what kind of sexual harassment they are facing. And then you, as an activist, must use all these feedback that you are getting from social media, from your followers on Twitter, from your fans on the Facebook page, to develop the projects that you can work and get fund on, and not only try to be working on the theoretical level and giving the people what kind of change they have to go through. I think also there is an important point in discrimination against women is that sometimes we work on eliminating some points within the laws that discriminate women, but we don't work on eliminating the real sources that brought this discrimination into action. For example, nowadays in Lebanon, everyone can just go through Google and know that the big discussion that have been taking place since around 1 year and a half regarding the law against the law for eliminating all kinds of violence against women. Actually, those people that are standing against, whether in the parliament or whether in the government, or whether in the society, are religious leaders. Because they always try to fear people out of the change, out of the religion. They tell them, if you go and change, if you go and give women more freedom, if you protect women, then the role of the family, the role of the sect that you are belonging is going to lessen. And thus the power, you are taking the power from their hands. So at some point, for example, on the 8th of March, on the International Women's Day, I launched through the center a campaign. It's called Eve and for Men. As you know, in Muslim countries, men are allowed to marry 4 women. So we played on the name of the issue, and we created a campaign called Eve and for Men, as if we are talking women and for men. And we actually were not calling for women to marry 4 men, no. But we wanted to attract people through the title, to take them to the content of the campaign, which is we wanted to make men more concerned about the issues of women's rights. Because what is happening right now in the Arab societies and all patriarchal societies, that men feel that when women want to take the rights, as if they are taking the rights from them. No, we are not taking our rights from you. We are taking our rights from the society, from the world, from the laws, from everything. So that's why we wanted to the 4 men in the campaign were the father, the brother, the friend, the colleague. We were trying to make every man in the society concerned about women's rights, and even to go to the streets when we call for any demonstration or strikes. Actually, I want to admit that every time we call for a demonstration or strike, for example, the last, let's say, the last 1 year I have been working on that issue. Actually, we were only like as if we are talking to ourselves. I mean, when we go to the television, when we go to the radio and speak, we are organizing something about women, etc. People don't come to the streets. And actually, in Lebanon, we have it not only in women issues, even in more crucial needs in terms of human rights. For example, we have extreme violations of prisoner rights in Lebanon. We have many terrible issues, although Lebanon is mostly known among Arab countries, it's more open. Yes, we might be more open in terms of daily life and some social practices, but in terms of laws, no. We are very retarded in terms of laws, because who controls any ratification or improvement in the laws in Lebanon? It's the parliament. And you have to go back to see how the members of the parliament in Lebanon reaches to the parliament through their sectarian situations and through their sects. So again, every member in the parliament is related and directly attached to the interest of his sect and to the religious leaders that are supporting him. So again, every time you want to call for any change in the situations or in the laws or any practices that discriminate women or children or humans in general, you then go to have that conflict with the religions in the country. I think that so that's why it's important when we are talking about any project in civil society or any action that we are going to take in terms of making the life of women more fair, to create the public consensus on this issue before trying to work on it. Because what happened that the NGOs, for example, or independent activists try to talk with the government, with the parliament, with different political parties in Lebanon to ratify a law. But at the end, the public, the women themselves, the people themselves, they are not aware of what we are working on. So that's why we have a gap between the civil society, the public, and the government, and all the public sector in the country. I think that also we must admit that I wish that there were more activists coming from Lebanon to discuss this point, that we in Lebanon suffer from one thing: we don't have that big networks and cooperation among the different NGOs working in the field. So what happens, for example, I create an NGO working about women's rights where we have like 1,000 NGOs working on women's rights. Instead of going and cooperating with them, I try to create something, and then it tends to be as if it is an investment, while we must be more into cooperation. Another, I will give just like a few examples about the most crucial situations that women must be protected, which are women suffering, living in armed conflict, especially what is going on right now in the different Arab countries within the Arab uprising. I don't think that there are emergency rescue for women suffering in the Arab Spring. I think that the NGOs must work on this field in the coming few months, and this is very urgent because women are going out to the streets, they are demonstrating, they are participating in the change, but at the end of everything, the dictator falls down, but women gain nothing, especially within the race of the Muslim Brotherhood in some Arab countries. Also, I want to give another example. For example, one of the old conflicts in the region, and especially in North Africa, is the Western Sahara conflict, and especially the Tindouf camps where the Sahrawis there and the Sahrawi women have been suffering since 37 years ago. Okay, just a minute and then finish. So their women have been suffering 37 years old, and most even European and foreign humanitarian aid are not being able to reach women in the Tindouf camps because of the Polisario front that is controlling the camps. Even not only internet cannot reach the camps, but also media, televisions, radios cannot reach that places, and this is one of the most forgotten conflicts in the world. So I will just end up thanking you for listening, thanking you, Genif, for organizing this and calling for a real change and a real uprising, even in the work of the NGOs in the Arab world in specific, going out from the traditional forms of projects and trainings, workshops, etc., using more social media, simplifying what we are calling for in terms of change, so that everyone in his or her house can understand that we are doing it. Thank you.
Merci, Rowaida, pour ton intervention. Merci pour les précisions. Je ne peux pas faire le commentaire à cause du temps, mais j'ai relevé quand même les difficultés que vous rencontrez pour faire la campagne, pour faire comprendre aux femmes elles-mêmes quel est leur rôle, quels sont les courages qu'elles doivent avoir, parce qu'elles doivent connaître aussi leurs droits. Et j'ai également noté que les hommes qui épousent 4 femmes n'admettent pas non plus qu'une femme puisse avoir plusieurs maris. Et c'est vrai, les difficultés des femmes, la violence telle que je l'ai stipulée tout à l'heure est devenue monnaie courante, surtout les viols en France, en Europe, en Afrique, partout. Les viols de femmes aujourd'hui est désastreux. Donc, sans plus tarder, on va revenir là-dessus. Je vais donner la parole à David, et David, 20 minutes.